When three mixed-race girls appear at the ball, they instantly draw the eyes of the white gentleman. One of the women even urges her friends to take the initiative.
Maybe you should take him home to bed with you.
He's having a good time.
I was thinking of you.
Dolly Rose is right. You'll enjoy life more when you give him a child that lives. You need that bond share.
Don't wear him out before you have it.
This is one of the rare integrated balls in New Orleans. The white men hope to find something refreshing here, and the women of color long for the protection of these gentlemen, hoping to make their lives a little less strained. Soon a wealthy plantation owner named Philippe sets his sights on the tender, soft-glancing Cecile. But even with thousands of acres of sugarcane, Philippe is essentially a man who married into his wife's family. Besides, he has never had a good relationship with his current wife. She knows he enjoys seeking pleasure outside their marriage, but because her father's farmland needs someone to manage it, she has always endured everything in silence, so she ends up giving her husband the freedom to indulge himself. Whenever he has spare time, the man comes to the small house he prepared for Cecile. Spending so much time together naturally deepens their feelings. A year later, the two of them welcome their child, and Philippe does not ignore the baby because of his background. Instead, he adores the child and names him Marcel. He hopes the servants he hired will take good care of his son. At the same time, Cecile seizes the moment to make a small request, hoping that when Marcel grows up, Philippe will sponsor the boy to go to Paris, because only there does background no longer matter, and only there can he become a truly free person. And facing her request, Philippe agrees without hesitation. He promises that when the child turns 18, he will send Marcel to France. Given his status and assets, he is fully capable of fulfilling this promise. But will the boy's fate really unfold the way this moment's promise suggests? Time flies, and 16 years pass as Marcel slowly grows into a young man. Even though he has a head of golden hair, his features still show his heritage. Every day he imagines the moment when his father will send him to Paris, and on his 16th birthday, he even goes to the local photo studio to take a portrait of his own. At the same time, Marcel has a younger sister named Marie whose skin is so fair she is easily mistaken for white. The family talks about the little details of daily life, and with her father's support, Marie dresses like a princess. This sparks envy from the servants standing nearby. The mother senses her daughter's thoughts, so she calls her into the back kitchen, but to her surprise, the young maid before her is also Philippe's child. Yet because of the divide between servant and master, or perhaps out of deep gratitude, the mother does not want her daughter to feel jealous.
You must never think those thoughts. If it wasn't for Monsieur Philippe, I'd still be in the fields. Oh, Maman! Is it worse? No. Oh, I'm fine. It's you I worry about.
Let me tell him about the pain, Mama.
No! You don't be bringing no trouble to him. You hear me? You don't give that woman no cause to complain. It's good what we have here, Lisette. It's better than the fields.
Next day, Marie carries a letter from her father and visits a local merchant. She wants him to purchase some clothing and jewelry. However, after reading the letter, the old man shows a greedy expression. He coaxes and pressures Marie to sit down. Then he changes the subject, hoping to take advantage of her when she isn't paying attention. Fortunately, Marie senses the danger about to unfold and quickly escapes this risky place. She hurries down the street and happens to run into her brother's friend Richard. Seeing her crying in distress, the boy quickly asks what happened, but the girl does not reveal what just occurred. At that moment, Richard's father walks over, and noticing his son's enthusiasm toward Marie, he deliberately interrupts their conversation, and just as the girl leaves, the boy offers her a flower with deep affection. It silently expresses emotions he can't put into words.
Richard, don't grow too fond of that girl.
Meanwhile, Marcel is also a romantic soul. He spots a middle-aged woman shopping in the street, and she also notices him. After they exchange glances, the woman steps out of sight. Unexpectedly, the boy refuses to give up and follows her all the way to the end of the market. The woman's alluring and dreamy expression keeps Marcel completely captivated. He resembles his father a bit with this charm, so he follows her persistently all the way to her home. At this moment, the woman grows cautious and asks the boy what he wants. To her surprise, Marcel is searching for a writer named Christophe. He has heard that Christophe is returning from Paris to open a school in New Orleans and has come here to visit, and the person he mentioned happens to be the middle-aged woman's son, so she invites Marcel into the house. The space inside is huge, and the boy is stunned by what he sees. He has never been inside a house this large. While he looks around, The woman stands on the staircase striking an elegant pose. Her graceful and captivating manner is too much for the inexperienced Marcel to resist. They do not spend much time discussing when Christophe will return. Instead, the woman teasingly leads the boy upstairs to her room, and Marcel, without much hesitation, follows her. But when he enters her chamber, her silhouette before the curtain, lightly slipping off her green dress, overwhelms the bewildered boy entirely. It also makes the woman, who has sought comfort for years, lower her guard. After a while together, a man suddenly stands before the bed. The drowsy Marcel is instantly terrified, and the woman realizes that the boy is face to face with her long-absent son. It is clear that Christophe has returned from Paris full of achievements.
But who is this?
Oh, this is a very smart boy. Marcel Saint-Marie, he read your letter to me. He told me that they said in the paper that you are coming home. And he talks of a school that he wants to go to.
He seems a bit precocious for school.
Go, Shell. Come tomorrow.
Oh, do! Come again!
When Marcel leaves the woman's house, he sees a funeral taking place at the home of the carpenter he admired. His friend sorrowfully tells him that the old carpenter has passed away and has left him a letter. He also mailed several journals to Marcel's home, all about the history of the uprising in Haiti, hoping he would study them carefully. But what Marcel never expected is that his mother throws these journals into the fire as soon as she sees them. Even the family's servant can't bear it.
The wishes of the dead are sacred.
I won't be judged by slaves.
They are sacred. Leave
Does the woman simply not want her son to recall the past, or is there another reason? The next morning, while Marcel is still asleep, the maid wakes him and hands him one of the carpenter's journals. She had endured burns and dug it out from the ashes just so the boy could better understand himself. So Marcel angrily confronts his mother, demanding to know why she burned the old carpenter's journals. But Cécile carries a secret she cannot speak. She has always told her son that he is a free person. His father is a plantation owner in New Orleans, and this should not have been a lie. But Cécile's mother had been an enslaved woman in Haiti. They moved to New Orleans to escape the violent conflict that broke out between black and white groups in Haiti. Even Cécile herself had been taken away from the chaos, so it is certain that Marcel's mother was not a free person, and he himself carries the bloodline of those who were oppressed. This is pure deception, and it drives Marcel to storm out in emotional turmoil. As he wanders the streets, he sees people being sold at an auction. It is a painful humiliation and a lifelong shackle for those subjected to it. And although he himself lacks nothing materially, his family history still bears this mark. So now Marcel can only hope his father will send him to France sooner. But what he cannot foresee is that due to recent poor sugarcane harvests, his father has fallen into wine and gambling. On top of it, he supports another family outside, leading his wife to reach her limit as she scolds him daily for his irresponsibility. But Philippe's wife's younger brother has already grown up. As a man who married into the family, Philippe's position on the plantation is now in jeopardy. 2 more days pass. The servant in Marcel's house falls gravely ill and is near death. Yet Marcel's father stays at her side. Clearly Philippe has been involved not only with Marcel's mother but also with the family's maid. And he even has a 20-year-old daughter. She is the girl who dug the journal out of the ashes. All these tangled relationships are the result of Philippe's reckless charm. So before the woman dies, she hopes Marcel will treat her elder daughter kindly. She also wishes that one day their master will buy back the girl's freedom. The maid leaves this world in regret, unable to find peace even in her final moments. Marcel then goes searching for his half-sister and arrives at a place of voodoo rituals. It is one of the few black religious sites in New Orleans, and Lisette often visits there. He brings her outside and breaks the news of their mother's death. The girl collapses emotionally, devastated that she never saw her mother one last time. She blames it all on Marcel's mother, who drove her out of the house. Marcel is deeply grateful for Lisette's care throughout the years. Because they share the same father, he begs his sister not to hold resentment and return with him to where he lives. But she refuses because she does not want to face Cécile's expression, and she despises the father who abandoned her. He had promised in her childhood to buy back her freedom, yet now at 23 he still hasn't kept his word. So she urges Marcel not to believe in promises about sending him to France either. But could she be right? Time passes, and another 2 years go by. Marcel lives happily every day. He has finally turned 18 and believes his father will honor his promise to send him to France. He even proudly tells his best friend about the free life he dreams of. But Marcel never imagines that the plantation is about to change hands. Philippe's wife invites a lawyer to their home and formally accuses her husband, due to his misconduct and neglect of the sugarcane fields. She has the right to reclaim the management passed down by her father. She then plans to transfer it to her adult brother. This means Philippe will lose all property and might even be expelled from the estate, and the promise he made to sponsor Marcel's education abroad now vanishes completely. Meanwhile, the joyful boy has no idea what has happened. When a local official hands him a work notice from Philippe, Marcel is struck as if by lightning. The freedom he longed for and the life he dreamed of turn out to be nothing but his father's lie. So filled with resentment, he asks someone to take him to the plantation he has never visited. He wants to confront Philippe and ask why he betrayed him. The plantation mistress is shocked to discover that her husband's mixed heritage son has found their home, and the boy arrives with a fierce expression, clearly not considering the feelings of this family. So a black servant quickly steps forward to stop the boy's reckless behavior, but Marcel only wants to know why his father broke the promise to send him to Paris to study. The plantation owner rushes over on horseback. The mistress gathers the children into the house, but to Marcel's shock, instead of explaining, his father beats him the way one would punish a servant. Furious at his defiance, the boy collapses unconscious from the blows. One can only imagine what the mistress feels as she witnesses this, and Philippe storms away in anger, leaving his injured son behind without the slightest concern. The old servant carries Marcel home in the night. His mother and sister never imagined that the man who once made so many promises would beat his own son until he was covered in bruises. Soon relatives and friends arrive. After hearing about Marcel's suffering, they advise him not to stay at home so he will not have to face his ruthless father. 3 days later, the boy heads to his aunt's plantation in the countryside. The scenery is peaceful and beautiful, making it a perfect place for rest and recovery. His aunt, a woman of mixed heritage, inherited these vast fields after her white husband passed away. She lives quietly and freely, untouched by the outside world. But Marcel's sudden disappearance brings sorrow to his childhood sweetheart Lola. Her grandmother always tells her to give up on Marcel. With her looks and charm, even as a mixed heritage girl, she could still find a white partner of high status. Such a match would secure her position in society and free her from her family's past. But how could Lola simply cut off her feelings for Marcel? Early the next morning, Marcel's sister brings a letter to Lola, leaves only a brief apology, and walks away. The letter is Marcel's farewell, and the girl bursts into tears as she reads it. She burns the letter, ending their 5-year relationship. But Lola never expects that during her grief, a young white gentleman who has admired her for a long time arrives. He happens to run into Marie delivering the letter, and Marie seems to sense something. The young man then goes to Lola's room and sees her crying, which becomes a rare opportunity for him. Lola releases the restraints on her heart and decides to begin a relationship that crosses their racial divide. The two of them go to an apartment on Royal Street. The young man prepared it specially for Lola, wanting her to have a more comfortable place to stay. His sincerity moves her, and she slowly accepts his affection and allows their relationship to deepen. The scene shifts as Marcel's father receives the lawyer's notice due to his neglect of the plantation. This means the man who married into the family no longer has the right to control the vast sugarcane fields. Feeling betrayed by his wife, Philippe loses patience with their life together. He decides to leave the household. Even though the marriage has not officially ended, he refuses to return. But Philippe is not without a place to go, because Cécile has always been waiting for him, believing perhaps that they are each other's true love. Even though her son was beaten so badly, Cécile holds no resentment. She believes the man she loves must carry suffering he cannot speak aloud. The two enter Cécile's room. After waiting so long, their emotions overflow and neither considers that their daughter is only a wall away. A month passes. Philippe spends his days lying in bed, doing nothing and drinking heavily, and the girl speaking with him is another child he fathered in his younger, reckless years with a woman who worked in the household. She can now only live under Cécile's roof as a quiet and obedient maid, but her father had promised Lizette's mother on her deathbed that he would take good care of this daughter. Now that he has lost all his property, fulfilling that promise is clearly impossible. At that moment, Cécile suddenly walks in and sees how close the two of them look, which makes her feel uneasy. The girl immediately steps aside to avoid them, but Cécile unexpectedly chases after her in anger and warns her to stay away from Philippe. Otherwise, she will throw Lisette out onto the street. Such cruel words inevitably plant bitterness in the girl's heart. But only a few days later, everything changes dramatically. Philippe suddenly dies in bed without warning, likely because of his constant drinking. Neither of them can accept the reality. Lisette wants to approach her father, but Cécile pushes her away.
He's my father. You belong to me now. You will do what I tell you to do. Get Clairement, Tom.
Since Philippe never formally ended his marriage, he is sent back to the plantation for burial. His wife knows all too well what he did in life, but now that he is gone, all resentment fades. She can only accept this harsh truth. Meanwhile, Marcel, far away at his aunt's plantation, receives the news of his father's death and realizes that his dream of studying in Paris has been completely shattered. But his mother does not think so. Even without Philippe's support, she still hopes her son can change his fate, so she wants to use her daughter's beauty to approach influential white patrons at a friend's ballroom to gain funds. She hopes to raise enough money to send Marcel to Paris, just as she once did in the past. But Marie is already in love with someone. She believes using her body to please anyone is shameful, and no matter how her mother tries to convince her, she refuses to step into that ballroom. Marie leaves in tears. She goes to the maid's room to vent her sadness. Lisette has always envied Marie's glamorous life. She even resents their entire family. They are both Philippe's daughters, yet she is a servant while Marie lives like a princess. So she decides to take this chance for revenge. She invites Marie to go out with her at night to a place where all worries disappear. Marie has no idea that Lisette is her half-sister, nor does she know how much darkness Lisette carries in her heart. So she agrees without hesitation. When night falls, Lisette takes her to a voodoo place. It is a religious gathering spot for the local black community. The woman in charge is an old practitioner. She drops a few drops of liquid into Marie's tea, saying it will wash away her troubles. But Marie never imagines that a group of greedy men are waiting outside. She does not realize that the liquid is meant to numb her senses. Once she drinks it and falls unconscious, the men outside grow impatient. The old woman shows a greedy expression and slowly loosens Marie's clothing. When Marie loses all ability to resist, the old woman orders her helpers to carry her into the inner room. She is taken inside to serve those seeking something new. And behind this terrible truth stands her half-sister, who caused everything. Marie's hands and feet are tied tightly, and she lies there unable to move like a lamb waiting to be harmed. Under the old woman's signal, the helpers slowly leave, and only a group of men remain, hiding their intentions behind false politeness and indulging in shameful acts. But Marie is still a young girl. Could her half-sister really watch everything unfold without feeling anything? The next day the girl suddenly opens her eyes, and only a timid man is guarding her. Perhaps guilt weighs on him, because he covers her with a blanket and unties the ropes. But the noise alerts the old woman, and the situation becomes tense. Trying to escape, Marie grabs a bottle and smashes it in desperation. The old woman shouts at the man not to let her go and lies that Marie is white, not black. Marie fears revenge if she escapes, but she breaks free and runs toward the outside with all her strength. The old woman shouts for others to catch her. Fortunately, heavy rain pours from the sky, making the ground slippery. When the man grabs her, he slips and falls, giving Marie the chance to escape. When she returns home, her body and mind are deeply wounded, and the effects of the drink still linger, leaving her trembling and speechless. At that moment her mother comes down the stairs, sees her in such a state, and angrily demands to know where she went last night. But Marie cannot say a word. Her mother's urgent questioning only makes the girl's pain burst uncontrollably. In their argument, Marie pushes Cecile to the ground and runs out crying. Her half-sister witnesses the entire tragedy. Marie runs through the rain to her godmother's home and knocks on the door. The woman rushes down the stairs and, seeing her trembling in fear, hurriedly asks what happened. Marie finally releases the emotion she has buried for so long. But she is not the only one suffering. Her fiancé Richard is devastated when he hears the news. How could he accept such a painful truth? Meanwhile, Marcel learns from friends what happened to his sister. His emotions explode with anger. He wants to confront those men, but as a black youth marked by the stigma placed upon him, seeking revenge would mean certain danger. After much persuasion from his friends, he finally calms down, but his half-sister cannot escape responsibility. 3 days later, with her godmother's care, Marie looks much better. Her godmother always hoped she would become a star at the ballroom and meet distinguished men, but when a polite gentleman greets Marie warmly, the girl is instantly overwhelmed by memories of that night. She flees the ballroom in confusion. While wandering alone in the garden, she hears someone call her. It is her fiancé Richard. She thought their relationship had already ended, and she feels unworthy of marrying him now. But Richard cannot forget their vows nor the promises they made. He does not care about her past suffering. He wants to spend his life protecting her so she never feels pain again.
I love you, Marie. I love you. You're coming with me now. Come on.
Even Marie's godmother, who has seen countless men in her life, is moved by the sight of Richard embracing her. A week later, Marcel returns home. Marie, accepted and supported by her fiancé, looks much healthier. Her brother is relieved to see her recovering, but when he learns that Lisette was the one who led Marie to that place, Marcel immediately loses control and vows to find her. When he forces open a locked door, he discovers that their half-sister has taken her own life. Perhaps guilt consumed her to the point she could no longer face her family. Life is filled with misfortune, and it takes Marcel a long time to recover from finding Lisette in a pool of blood, but dark days always pass. He goes to the docks to see his sister off as she leaves for France. It is a place without the prejudice she faced, and he believes she will find a new beginning. As for himself, he stays behind and follows a photographer he knows, beginning a lifelong journey in the world of photography. Thus the film ends. This story is adapted from a historical novel by Anne Rice. It tells the story of free people of color living in New Orleans before the Civil War. These light-skinned black families were descendants of European colonizers. I'm a film enthusiast. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, and see you next time.